This is Jason from McGuires Clocks, and today we're going to look at this beautiful Charles R. Sligh Marquise model. It was manufactured in 1995. This is a one-owner clock. It came out of Lakeway, Texas. The owner was downsizing. Asked us if we wanted to purchase it. This is Sligh's top-of-the-line clock. I'm not 100% sure the cost on this one back in '95, but the equivalent one before they went out of business, and it's almost the exact same clock they made back in 2006. This one's a little bit nicer because this one was hand detailed. The other one, the newer ones that they made were done by painting and by machine. This one's all hand rubbed. All the gold on it is hand applied gold leaf. I know the last time they made it, it ranged in the $25,000 range. So let's start taking a look at it. We'll start here at the top. This one has 5 finials on it with brass caps. It's a 2-step pediment on it. So you got this upper step here and then the next step down right here. It has inlay with book match flame mahogany all over the clock. I believe the inlay in this one is probably maple wood, satin wood, and ebony, making up most of the inlay, and all the really nice wood like this is going to be flame mahogany, and it's all book matched, which means they take one piece and they cut it for both sides so this side mirrors this side best possible. Rest of the case is going to be made out of solid cherry. The finish on this case back when they were making this one was hand applied and hand rubbed. The other details that are a little bit different than the last year that they made them is if you look at the gold here on the door, it's hard to see. I don't know if I can get a good, here we go. You can see there's wrinkles in it. This is actually hand applied gold leafing on it. The later models, this was just painted gold, gold color instead of it actually being leafed. You get these beautiful huge hinges that stick out, solid brass. Again, the door just full of inlay and mahogany, all real inlay too. Something I don't even know if Sligh did real inlay towards the end. Most of the companies these days, even on the really fancy clocks, it's almost like a photograph that they use. It is put on real wood and made of real wood, but it's more of a photographing process that they use to get that instead of truly inlaying it. Again, more of the gold leafing on the columns, nicely detailed all the way up and down. Get down here on the side. You can see you got the flame mahogany with the inlay again. This was all supposed to be hand carved in this clock. Get around front where we got a little bit more light, but this kind of shell looking pattern on it, this was all supposed to be hand carved at the time that they made this clock. I believe it. You can kind of see some of the marks in this part of the clock where they used a tool to do it. I mean, they may have used some type of Dremel tool, but it was done by hand and not by a machine cutting it out. The bottom of the columns all inlaid also, same types of woods. The bottom front inlaid also. Go around here to the other side. It mirrors the side you just saw, but just so you can see everything's still in excellent shape on this clock. One difference, I guess it was in style back when this one was made. Instead of doing beveled glass in the door, this one's got etching It was more popular back in the mid-90s. I think it looks really nice. Instead of just being an edged piece of glass, you actually have some etching in there. It's around everywhere. All the side doors have it also. You can see it in here. Top, bottom, sides, and then the dial glass, so nothing gets in the way. I know it's hard to see, but there's actually a lip right here. It is beveled all the way around. So some of the things that make this clock different in their lineup from the rest of them, most of the clocks, this inside door here, what holds the glass in will just be a piece of rubber. Now on these upper doors, this is probably due to the size, this is a nailed in piece of wood, stained to match. And then on the inside of the front door and the inside in here, this is a beveled piece of wood, and I'll show you better on the front door, but this is actually stripped and screwed into this to hold this in. You know, that had to be done by hand, so it's a more expensive process. It also looks a little bit nicer than just the rubber seals that hold it in the regular lineup. Here's a little better view of it here. You can see they did wood all the way around, all screwed in. And it's like that upper and lower. And you can see the bevel a little bit better that way too. The wood's nice all the way through the inside, and the door's finished also on the inside. One thing you can't see, one thing Sligh did back then and up through probably around early 2000 before they started gearing down their production, is all the backs of their clocks are finished also, just as nice as the front. You don't get the flame mahogany, but the cherry is very well finished on the back. So if you had to stand it somewhere in a stairwell or something where you could see the back of it, you wouldn't be disappointed in that. You get a special key with this one. It's the only key. Only the Charles R. Sligh keys will open a Charles R. Sligh. You can force another key to do it, but you can snap the end of the key off. It's a certain length. The lock is also inset in the door. Most of the standard lines through all the manufacturers, it'll be on the back side of the door here instead of being inset. It just makes it a little bit nicer. All the brass on this clock is in really good shape. The only thing I did notice is that the pendulum disc, although very good shape, I didn't really see any scratches on it. It has darkened a little bit over the years, and that's because all of this stuff was hand finished when they did it. It's got a lacquer on it, and in fact the other one that we have here at the store that's on layaway, the dial has thumbprints on it, and it was definitely done in the process of building the clock before they lacquered it. So you sometimes find that on this fancier level of clock where they've tried their best to not touch it, but you'll find a fingerprint. Now this one doesn't have any on it, which is kind of unusual, but the brass has darkened a little with age. The dial, nicest one Sligh makes. They use the same dial up through the end of their production for their top of the line movement. Heavy etching in here. All this stuff on this one is screwed in, which is a big deal. The lower line or even their middle line stuff, usually this applique here will be put on with glue. It's just the way they did it. They've done it forever, but you can see this one's screwed in everywhere. It's got a nice blue, pretty blue, not a dark blue like most of them, background for the lunar calendar. Got your stars, and the stars are brushed brass with, and the moon is too. So as far as the movement goes on this one, it's a Kieninger 9-tube movement. It's got bronze bushings throughout and a handful of jeweled bushings front and back. It's nearly indestructible. I've never in 20 years had to replace one, and I've never really had to put a bushing in one. Occasionally, as with this one, and I do this just as a precaution, the winding arbors have a bushing that's removable. This right here, on all three of them, front and back, I remove these and put them in. This is about the only thing that you'll find wear on in this movement if it's been well cared for. I don't see any reason this won't give you another 30 to 50 years worth of service with proper cleaning and oiling, and maybe replacing these bushings somewhere along the way again, which is very easy because it doesn't require disassembly of the clock. This is a pretty high level one too. The plates are polished. This one's actually stamped with Charles R. Sligh on the back of it because it's old enough. It's a beautiful movement. Probably my favorite movement. New, old, antique, I don't care. Probably the best one out there. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you what this sounds like. I have it on St. Michael's. Let's see what we can do here. And that's a Charles R. Sligh Marquise 1995 model. It is up, ready to go, and on time. We'll be asking $8,500 for this one. I get maybe one in every 2 years because they only made 1,000 of each model. And we're pretty proud to have this one. You can reach us at 512-452-4558. McGuiresClocks.com, and on Facebook under McGuires Clocks. Thank you.